Hello everyone, welcome to this webinar. My name is Leon Ballin, I'm the Network Manager for Sustainable Food Cities, and today we're looking at the Veg Cities campaign and focusing specifically on how schools can play a role in increasing vegetable consumption. You should all be able to see the agenda on your screens. I'm going to run through some housekeeping and then give a brief overview of Sustainable Food Cities, as not everybody on this webinar will be connected to our programme, and then hand over to my colleague Sophia Parente. So housekeeping for today, we're being recorded. Today's session is being recorded. The presentations and other resources from this webinar will be available on the Sustainable Food Cities website in the next couple of weeks, and we will also email around resources and a link as well. The webinar is listen-only mode, so you can ask questions in the chat box, which is in the bottom left-hand corner, and there will be a Q&A session at the end. If we don't have time to answer all the questions, we will keep a note of them, and we will be answering them offline and share answers with you. If you do experience some technical issues, the best thing to try first of all is the classic log out of the program and log back in and join the webinar again. If you use Firefox or Chrome browsers, that is best. Alternatively, you can send a message to me through the chat, the attendee chat, and we'll support where we can, but there's only so much we can do. So for example, if you've got very poor connectivity, internet connectivity at your end, there's not a lot we can do about that, I'm afraid. Okay, so Veg Cities is the current feature campaign of Sustainable Food Cities, or SFC, as most people call it. I'm going to give you a very brief overview of the SFC program, but if any of you would like to know more, just get in touch with me, and my contact details are on the SFC website. So Sustainable Food Cities, as you can see from this first slide, we're a partnership between Food Matters Sustain and the Soil Association. And these three organisations came together a few years ago, and the fundamental question that they were asking was, what does sustainable food look like if it's focused on place? We're a membership organisation, got 57 members across the UK. And what we found, to answer that question, what does sustainable food look like if focused on place, was the most effective way to drive change is through partnership working. And the local food partnerships role, and they are our members, is to essentially completely reimagine and reshape their city, borough or county through the lens of good food. Our role centrally is to support those partnerships and connect our members throughout our network. Our local food partnerships take a certain approach. So to become a member, you need to take a certain approach to your food partnership. They're cross-sector, so public sector, so councils, NHS are represented. The community sector must also be represented on a local food partnership, and business in some way should also be present. However, none of these sectors should dominate, and all should be working collaboratively towards a common good food goal. Our members also aim to ensure that sustainable food practices are embedded in policy. And what we mean by that is that they're becoming normalised. So this will, of course, include local authority policy, such as school food standards, but it could also include policy within schools, for instance, packed lunch policy, or policies within local businesses and community organisations about how they manage the food that they serve and sell. Something else we ask of our members is they must have an action plan. That is not a strategy. This is simply, what are they going to be doing over the short to medium term? Who is doing it? And when are they doing it? And this is to ensure that food partnerships do not become, I don't know, talking shops.
Hi everyone, we lost Leon for a moment, so I'm taking in. My name is Sophia. I'm the SFC campaigns coordinator, and right now I'm coordinating the Veg Cities campaign. If Leon, in the meanwhile, comes back, I'll let him finish his introduction to the SFC. In the meanwhile, I'll say a few words about the Veg Cities campaign, and we'll introduce our speakers. So Veg Cities is a feature campaign of SFC. It's led by food and farming charity Sustain, that hosts me, in partnership with the wider Please Please initiative. There's currently 17 cities and other local areas running campaigns to increase the availability and consumption of vegetables. Over the next year, Veg Cities campaigns will concentrate their efforts on areas of higher deprivation. We'll set up veg stands, cooking classes for the community, growing spaces, and improve the uptake of Healthy Start vouchers. Others will grow more and will work towards getting more locally grown veg into local supply chains. And collectively, we want to make a difference, and the campaign aims to get hundreds of gardens across the UK involved in a Big Dig Day next spring to kick off food growing for the season and help them measure how much veg they're growing in 2019. We will promote vegetable consumption in schools, events and festivals, and we'll be joining forces with Veg Power to display veg adverts early in 2019. Our next webinar will be on Veg Power. So if you're interested in knowing more about this advertising campaign and how you can get involved, check out the announcement for the next webinar in the Veg Cities newsletters and the SFC newsletter and on Twitter. So please follow us on Twitter if you haven't done so already and sign up to our newsletters. Now, just a note before we move on. Many of you will have seen the recent announcement following the Child Obesity Plan Chapter 2 that government, with the Local Government Association, will be looking to support a handful of local authorities to reduce the obesogenic environment for children. So if your local authority is thinking about applying for the government Trailblazer program, we'd love you to incorporate your Sustainable Food Cities work into this as a way to reinforce your existing work, but also to stretch into new areas. Many of you will have read the report Making the Health Case for SFC. I'm just copying a web link for that report if you haven't seen it already. And this will provide useful evidence on why and how the SFC model should be at the heart of any local bid for a Trailblazer program. And campaigns like Sugar Smart or Veg Cities should help as well. And Veg Cities in particular, because it promotes more veg in catering, more local food growing, promotion and advertising of vegetables, should help too. So if your local authority is applying and you need help with your application, get in touch. So back to the theme of this webinar. So some of the local campaigns, Veg Cities campaigns, are working with schools and school caterers and expressed an interest in knowing more about successful programs and projects in schools to ensure children eat more vegetables. So we hope this webinar will provide inspiration and show what's possible. 80% of children and 95% of teenagers are not eating the recommended 3.5 portions of vegetables a day. So school catering is an area where Veg Cities really wants to make a difference nationally. So you can let us know what you're doing in this area, because I'm sure that among those of you who are listening, there's a wealth of experience and some good stories. So if you're a caterer, if you're working with schools to increase consumption of vegetables from food growing projects, promoting eating vegetables in the curriculum, sourcing local and seasonal vegetables, if you're tackling food waste, we would like to hear from you. And the easiest way to get involved is to sign up on the Veg Cities website at vegcities.org. And in this slide, you have a screen grab how the sign-up page looks like if you're an organization and want to sign up. You can register as a school, community organization, or caterer and select the geographical area where you work. And this then takes you on to your local dashboard where you can select from a menu of actions. And you can select what action you're taking and let us know the impact you're having, how many people you're reaching, and how many portions of vegetables you're serving or saving from waste. So if you want to share stories and resources during this webinar, don't forget to use the chat function on the webinar. And without further ado, I'm going to pass on to our first speaker, Chandra. She's the Food for Life local program manager for Calderdale. She has years of experience, and she's going to talk to us about whole school approach to food and how Food for Life is resulting in more vegetables being eaten, not only in school, interestingly, but also at home. So, Chandra, up to you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Sophia, for that introduction. I'm just looking for the presentation, which I've lost on my screen. Sophia, can you still see it? And are you able to click along for me?
I'm afraid I can't see it. I'll check with Leon what's happening.
Hi, Sophia.
We'll get it on. In the meanwhile, you can carry on with your presentation.
Sophia, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, what do you need to put on? What do you need to put on the?
We can't see the presentation.
Right. Okay. Okay, I'll try. If you want to carry on, I'll try and get it up as soon as possible. Okay, I'll try. I'll get on it.
Thank you. Chandra, you can carry on if possible.
So, hi everyone. The Food for Life approach in schools is all about linking together the opportunity to create a good food culture, not just at home, but that take-home message for pupils as well. So the Food for Life framework, if you know it, it goes through bronze, silver and gold, and the schools can work through their award by having a framework that will support them to, great, thank you, support them to reach a high level. So I work in Calderdale, and we currently have 3 gold schools, 6 silver schools and 28 bronze schools, with a total of 88 schools on board. And it's a movement of what we would like to see, people moving towards a more healthier, sustainable lifestyle that encourages people to enjoy their food, but on a healthier angle. So what do we mean by a healthy and sustainable diet? I'm sure we're all aware of the health messages, eating less fat, salt, sugars and processed foods, ensuring that the quality of food that we put on the plate for children is fresh, local, seasonal, and sustainable, and has a low climate impact. So what we mean is trying to source food as locally as possible as well, and creating opportunities through our schools for eating together. And one thing that's worked really well in Calderdale is a lot of the intergenerational activities, where we've brought older residents in to come and eat with the children, either at their school setting or in the resident setting. And by seeing somebody else eat something, it always encourages you to eat a little bit more as well. Sorry, my clicker. So there's 4 areas of the Food for Life framework where schools have to work through, and there's different levels at bronze, silver and gold. I'll go through, just touch on where food leadership where vegetables are currently involved in helping schools move through their healthier choices, helping children make healthier choices. So under food leadership, we encourage our schools to adopt a whole school food policy, and we would encourage schools to include everything from not just what's on the school dinners, but also food at other times of the school day. So we encourage vegetables to be given as snacks at break time, encouraging vegetables to be used in after school club as snacks as well, but also all the fundraising activities that go on in schools. We know that lots of schools love a bake sale, and lots of schools have summer fairs and Christmas fairs, and the sweets and treats are great to have, but it's incorporating a little bit more of a health stance. So I was at a school just before they broke up for half term for an autumn festival, and the children were selling pumpkin soup, which was really nice, as well as a variety of scones, which were savoury as well. So it's encouraging schools to adopt a more balanced approach to even their fundraising activities. Also linking with the local community, so helping to support the local economy around school food, and ensuring that children get to meet their local farmers and local suppliers as well, and that is linked through their criteria. Under food education, we have a lot of resources around cooking and growing your own food and harvesting as well, which I will touch on in my next slide. And under food quality, we are looking at promoting more and more seasonal food and what can be found on the doorstep, and asking children to grow their own food at school and bring that into either the classroom or to give to their school cook to use as part of their school meals. So by a whole school approach, what we mean is that there is consistent messaging throughout the whole school day to build on a positive food culture. So as I've mentioned, it's not only crucial for it to be underpinned by a whole school food policy, but we are making sure that everyone is singing from the same hymn sheet, as it was. So we encourage schools to include vegetables as a norm, and a number of our schools in Calderdale, 2 of them in particular, have started a rainbow chart. So children are getting stickers to fill a rainbow chart for as many different vegetables they can eat, which is a really interesting way to get children to eat purple beetroots and red radishes, as well as our usual things that we see on the menu, like peas and carrots. Leading the change, we want the governors, the caterers, the senior management, the pupil voice from the school council all on board to help promote these healthier lifestyle actions, and that to be reinforced by the curriculum and any extracurricular activities too. When schools go for their Food for Life award, and as they work through bronze, silver and gold, we want to make sure that they're not only meeting minimum standards, we want them to do that a little bit more and go above and beyond. And we also check that all the schools meet their school food standards for lunch. So in Food for Life has been going for more than 10 years now, and as part of our ethos is around making sure that we can evidence what we do and evidencing the change that we see across the Food for Life schools. So pupils in Food for Life schools are twice as likely to eat 5 a day and a third less likely to eat no fruit on veg than in comparison schools. And this is a great start from us. When you adopt that whole school approach, we can see these types of changes. And through our trajectory and predictions, it means that if all the schools in England were to become Food for Life schools, 1 million more children would eat 5 or more portions of fruit and veg a day. And that means 100,000 more children would be eating at least some fruits and vegetable, which is fantastic. So that's why we promote Food for Life in a variety of ways and encourage more and more schools to get involved. Some other impacts that we've had across the programme over the past 10 years is that pupils in Food for Life schools are twice as likely pupils in Food for Life schools are 40% more likely to report that they like or really like their school dinners. So there's a real opportunity here to promote the school meal service within a school setting as schools work through their Food for Life approach and their evidence as well. Food for Life can also contribute to help closing the gap for disadvantaged children in terms of their health and academic attainment, and we think that's a crucial point. So levelling the playing field for those children who need it the most. 45% of parents reported eating more fruit, more vegetables actually as a result of their children being in a Food for Life school, and we also found that by having this multi-settings programme and approach which links the health, the education and the environment, we saw a social return of investment of £4.41 for every £1 spent on Food for Life activity. And my next slide just goes into a little bit more detail about those stats, and it's particularly referring to what was the Food for Life caterer mark, which is now the Food for Life served here mark. And more details of this and all our impacts, there's a link that Leon or Sophia will be sending out after the webinar as well. So not only are we promoting healthier children, but we are also moving towards a healthier economy by getting our children and the schools to promote healthy and sustainable activities around food. So some of the resources that we share with our schools are promote vegetable intake. Some of our gardening resources that we have and our cooking resources linked together. So some of the cooking skills resources we give to our schools are called Grow Your Own Soup. So we encourage different year groups to grow their own soup. So they're growing for a purpose. Examples include broccoli and basil soup, leek and potato soup, carrot and coriander, etc. Of our cooking schools resource pack that we provide our schools, of the 32 recipes that we give, 28 of them are all vegetable based. So it's a great way to promote cooking in the curriculum with a vegetable angle. So we are moving away from lots of treats and bakes and things like that. So even our resources are promoting vegetables. In addition to our cooking resources, all our growing resources link to curriculum activities too. So we encourage children to not only grow their own vegetables, but also use the vegetable growing through familiarisation by either tasting them or using them in artwork, or using them to do maths activities as well. And our schools have lovely examples that we can share with you through the Food for Life blog site, or also by when you become a Food for Life school, there's a portal through which you can share some of your learning as well. And we also work with the school caterers to encourage children to taste new foods and a variety of foods, and also working with the school to manage their food waste. So what happens to vegetables and vegetable peelings, which I know Chloe will be touching on in her presentation. If you would like more information about the Food for Life partnership, there's the website there, and any more evidence around the impact Food for Life and a whole settings approach can have. The link is there, and I'm sure it was going to be sent out as well after the presentation.
Thank you, Chandra. We will have a bit of time for addressing questions after the three speakers finish their presentations. So if you have questions for Chandra, or indeed for any of the other presenters that you will hear shortly, do type them up and we'll answer at the end. So next we have Chloe. She's Policy and Projects Manager at the Brighton and Hove Food Partnership, and she will cover the partnership's recent project with the Brighton and Hove City Council Primary School Meal Service to increase consumption of vegetables by children, rather than just increase the number of portions available, with a target to reduce food waste. So Up to you, Chloe.
Hi. Thanks, Sophia. Okay, so I'm just going to have a quick recap, just in case. I did a webinar the previous one about Veg Cities, which I talked about a food waste audit that we did. But just in case people haven't heard that, I'm going to quickly zip through some of what we did before. Because we were actually asked, we've got a really good relationship with the City Council in Brighton and the primary school meal service there. They serve around 11,500 meals a day to 64 primary schools, and it's cooked from scratch every day. They have 2 35-gram portions of veg that's served, and they also have access to a salad bar. They have also been doing a pilot around food waste collections from 10 schools, which has been really successful. But they wanted to find out more about the food waste. So in 2017, they got us to do a food waste audit to understand exactly how much was being wasted, what was being wasted, and why it was being wasted. So we went into 2 different primary schools every day for the 3-week menu cycle, and we got pupils involved, and we were trying to find out what was being wasted. And at the end of that, we weighed the waste. So we looked at the total plate waste and also the leftovers, so the servery waste, so the food that was cooked but not served. And we looked at other factors which might have influenced any of the data in terms of what sitting they were in, or what floor they were on, or what the weather was like outside, in case if it was sunny, that altered how much the kids were eating. We also sent a paper survey home in their book bags to ask all about what type of veg they like. So when we were at the school, the main thing we looked at was the wasted foods. If you can guess what the most wasted food was, it was obviously the vegetables, sadly. And we asked the children both face-to-face and using the survey why they didn't like the veg. And they gave lots of reasons, mainly either they just don't like it, or there was too much veg. But it was often perhaps around cooking methods. But some of them said that they preferred raw veg. That came back quite a number of times. They also had a preference for different types of veg. The number 1 veg was carrots, then it was cucumber, and then sweet corn. And then last year, when the Peas Please activity launched, the primary school meal service with the caterer at the time, Autograph, put out a pledge, and that was that they were committing to trialling raw veg, which was brilliant because that was off the back of the recommendations of this food waste audit. But the primary thing that they wanted to do was focus on increasing consumption of vegetables, not just increasing the portions available, with a specific target to reduce food waste. So this year, we have gone back into one school to trial what we called the Powered by Veg pilot. And it was really to tackle that, to see if we could increase veg consumption whilst reducing food waste. We decided to focus on the theme of veg power because we thought that was the most appealing to kids. So rather than talking about a veg city or Peas Please, we thought that veg power, and using the Batman poster, which is on the screen, using that as something that the kids might find appealing. In the week running up to the activity that we did, we put up posters all around the dining hall and up the stairs and around the school of this Veg Power poster, just to start people thinking like, oh, what's that all about? And that once we then introduced the activity, that it might nudge them to make changes. So when we went into the school and we introduced power pots, we called them power pots. They were like little plastic beakers of raw veg, which, because they had said they specifically wanted the raw veg. So in the first week we used single veg, so just one type of vegetable, and then this weeks 2 and 3 we mixed the veg, and we observed their reactions to what they thought of it. We also designed some stickers so that when they were kind of scraping their plates, we could look at what they've eaten, and if they'd eaten quite a bit of their veg, then we'd give them a sticker, and that would engage them in talking about what they did and didn't like. And then at the end of the service, we weighed all the waste. We produced some kind of like simple materials based on the Veg Power poster. So we had the poster done. We also had different stickers for every day. So we had three designs of different stickers done, and we had a paper survey designed, which was sent back. And on the last day of the activity, we did like a really fun Veg Power photo booth, so everyone could try doing the Veg Power Batman thing with the carrot ears, which was quite amusing. And they all got to go home with the stickers every day, so that would be like a talking point with their parents, and then also at the end of the day with that strip of the photos as well. So it was just a way of kind of also getting the message home to the parents. In terms of the feedback that we had, some of the slides here don't look very clear, unfortunately, but it was really positive. They really liked the power pots. It was something that they were talking about. They didn't normally eat the veg, but they really like them now. They much preferred crunchy veg. They like the specific things that they hadn't had before. One person was saying here was that say they loved peppers. They also noted that it made them feel more healthy. And even it made them run faster at playtime. So in terms of the overall results, most children tried a power pot, and it was largely positive feedback around being tasty and healthy. When from the survey and from talking to them in the trial, about 2/3 preferred raw veg to the cooked. Most preferred getting a single pot of veg rather than the mixed up veg, and that's partly because if they didn't like one of the veg in the pot, then they felt like they didn't really want to eat the pot. Most people, the most popular, when we asked them what the most popular one was, the sugar snap peas, so it seemed to be one of the most popular, and carrots. But actually comparing this year's trial to last year's trial, there was only a slight reduction in waste, but that was really to do with the methodology. So I think what we would really like to do is go back into another school this year and repeat the pilot, but review it with a kind of target to make sure that we're reducing the waste. Because what had happened was some of the children were ending up having their cooked veg, but also taking a power pot, which meant that there was twice as much vegetables on their plate. So they then weren't necessarily eating the cooked veg. So it would be, we'd go back in and say you could have either or. We also want to trial different portion sizes. And one of the things that we found was the feasibility of how they prepared the veg. So the caterer had got in a new veg preparation machine because they didn't want to have to cut up carrot batons by hand, but the actual way that they prepared them, it didn't quite work for some of the vegetables. So it was trying to see what's feasible to do by hand and what's kind of works with a machine. So we want to trial out some of those things. We also think that because the sugar snap peas, which they don't typically have, went down so well, it would be good to introduce other foods. But we thought outside of the dining hall. So to do that, we've done that before, kind of in playground tasting sessions. We've done it at the end of the day when parents are there as well, so we can start kind of engaging with the parents. The main thing that came back to us is that the kids did really like the power pots, but they seemed to be a really big hit on the kind of finger food days. So the days where they were eating with their fingers, so the pizzas or burgers or things like that were going to be, whereas things like the roast, that wouldn't be such a great day to have the power pot. So we would hope that this could be rolled out to across the menu, across all 64 primary schools at some point, but it would just be specific days. I think that's it. Any questions?
Thank you, Chloe. So keep your questions coming. Type them onto the attendee chat box. Share your ideas as well. And next we have Dennis, and he's head of catering at Havering Education Services. that provides catering services to the majority of schools in the London Borough of Havering. He's going to talk to us about the Veggie Run app and campaign, whose objective is to increase the number of pupils eating a healthy school meal offered by the school catering service. So up to you, Dennis.
Hi everyone, it's good to be here. So I'm going to talk to you about the Veggie Run app. Now, obviously, I'm going to discuss how Havering Council has adopted an additional approach in how we tackle it and how we are tackling childhood obesity across our East London Borough. Earlier this year, we launched Veggie Run, what we believe to be the first council-created app in England, focused on educating children within our borough about the rewards of healthy eating. So far, as of today, should I say, the app has had over 20,000 local downloads. However, there are other downloads. Like, it's a bit bizarre because Mexico have downloaded it 7,000 times, so that's a bit bizarre. And this has created many new opportunities for children to receive sports prizes. So in conjunction with the app, Havering Catering, that's us, launched an overarching Veggie Run program where we have gained assistance and support from the education sector, sports partners, and overhauled our in-school menu so it all links nicely together. I mean, as you're all aware, across London, probably across the country, we are witnessing, and I'm speaking on behalf of Havering, an alarming increase in childhood obesity. And we wanted to develop a healthy eating program and campaign that would support the borough's obesity strategy. As currently, in our East London borough, nearly 1/5 of our 5-year-olds have tooth dental decay, largely as a result of consuming too much sugar. And one in 5 of the borough's children start school overweight or obese. And sadly, that statistic gets worse because in year 6, it escalates to 1 in 3. So before we launched Veggie Run, we realised an overarching campaign needed to bring together the education sector, a healthy eating rewards programme, and support increased opportunities for young people to have access to outdoor activities. The plan was fundamentally based on the findings from the study conducted by the School Food Plan 2013, which identified that only 1.6% of packed lunches met the government's criteria on nutritional lunches. Through the Veggie Run app and campaign, our main objective was to increase the number of pupils eating a healthy school-catered meal. Children who then engage with the app or increase school meal uptake within their schools have the opportunity to win prizes. This offer also applies to children receiving free school meals, so it's all inclusive. Today's children now see digital media as a social norm, with the majority accessing or viewing it on a daily basis. And internet-related activities are now also deeply integrated as the norm within family lives. I must say, I don't want to generalise, but I'm sure you'll understand what I'm saying. So Veggie Run was developed as an educational digital app to be active goal direct based, which according to recent research published this year from doctors at the British Psychological Society helps young people to benefit the most from digital media. The app was designed and developed in conjunction with children from a local primary school in Havering to ensure it would appeal to children aged 4 to 11 years old. Our aim is to engage children through gameplay. As a child selects a healthy Crunch Bunch character, as you can see, there's 2 of them there. There's Bear and Ralph the runner bean, who then they have to run with their character whilst dodging the unhealthy foods and getting rewarded by collecting healthy foods along the way. Users are also asked health-based questions along the way, and they can access weekly school menus, and parents can purchase lunch credit by clicking on a link. So to build engagement from pupils and the education sector, the app rewards pupils and schools with sports prizes. To enable this, every school in the borough received a unique code, which they shared with pupils. Users then add that code to their login details, enable the app to create pupil and school leaderboards. We at the catering service can see everything that's going on the back of the office dashboard. Last term, from April to the end of to July, we awarded 120 bikes and crash helmets, 500 swimming vouchers. Schools were awarded with free sports equipment that they desperately needed within their schools, along with professional hockey and netball lessons, and free access to tennis courts and pitches. And teachers were also given prizes as well. They attended centre court tennis in Brighton, etc., and that was well taken. So, apps are developed every day, but creating one that directly awards pupils and schools' engagement required endorsement from partners. Due to the innovative nature of our program, the commercial partners not seeing this before, which helped us, we have successfully managed to partner with local, national, and global businesses. Everyone active who are part of the Sports Leisure Management work in partnership with 53 local authorities across the country and provided sporty prizes for both pupils and schools at 4 of their leisure centres within Havering. Quorn, the global vegetarian supplier, offers school sports equipment, cooking workshops and school prizes for teachers who went above and beyond promoting Veggie Run and healthy eating at their school. Indeed, Change for Life have publicly fully supported Veggie Run and the campaign, as they don't think any other council has developed such a programme before, which can evidence direct results, which will also hopefully be providing prizes for the new term as well and promoting it across their communication channels. So that would be quite good as well. So for children to understand the link between the Veggie Run app and healthy eating, 9 Crunch Bunch characters were developed from Olivia Onion, Bear Broccoli and Cora Carrot. All 9 characters can be selected on the app. They are then used across all menus in our primary schools, promotional materials, in-school colouring or menu design competitions. So they're everywhere and they're a part of the game. And that was quite important. Last term, we awarded 100,000 character badges to pupils. We purchased 1 meal per week for every 5 weeks to collect all the badges. And then there was a winner in every school which won a whole term of free meals. And then the overall winner within the borough would get a whole academic year free meals, and the 2 runners up 2 full terms of free meals. So for the Veggie Run launch, all our menus were updated, distributed to every child within the borough. The campaign now promotes this to parents, the healthy benefits of a school lunch, the ease of purchasing a school meal, and reinforces that by their child playing the game, they could win a sporty prize. So we're on to results. So school catered meal uptake for Key Stage 2 pupils from April of this year to the end of term in July increased by 14%, which is huge. Now, I set a 10% there, and I thought that was going to be difficult, but 14% was just massive. That's equivalent to an extra 136,363 meals compared to the same time last year. I mean, in monetary terms, that's well over £300,000. It's incredible. So April to July alone, right? So within 4 months, we have already covered app development costs. Out of all of this, we've covered all our costs, merchandise and campaign promotions. The funding will be redistributed back into improving catering settings in schools and learning for pupils on healthy eating, plus sports lessons. So the money we get, this is actually paying for itself, which is fantastic. So from the 59 primary schools that we cater for in the borough, we identified 65% of our schools were our advocates. Actually, it's more than 65, but it's quite healthy and it's growing. Our advocates of and promoted the app. Competitions and new school menus directly to children and parents through their direct communication channels. our aim is to increase this to 75%, and I think we may well have just hit that now. So from April's launch, app downloads have reached just over 20,000 local, exceeding our initial target, which our initial target was 2,000. So that's absolutely blown that out of the water. So I'm absolutely gobsmacked, and it's getting better. We continue to address player feedback and have improved graphics, introduced new levels, and varied game speed. And I've got something else to show you here, Sophia, whoever's doing it. We have a video.
I'm actually very good, huh? I'm a healthy animal. Are you? Oh, wow. This is a great move. Look this one on the air. At the moment. Choose our healthiest school lunch.
Thank you for that. I need to go back to the slides. Now, we've partnered, I'm sure if any of you are West Ham fans out there, those of you who are not, please don't leave us. Havering is a massive West Ham hub, hence there's a West Ham shop in Havering in Romford. We've managed to partner with West Ham, and you see a small video which West Ham did for us with two of their Premiership players, the keeper, their first team goalkeeper and defender. Hugely, children will be looking up to them. It's a bit of peer pressure. So we set up with the foundation, and they're going to provide us with teaching, sports activities, and veggie run, further veggie run prizes for pupils and schools. Now, 2,400 pupils will be benefiting from the Healthy Hammers program. That's 30 schools. That's £20,000 that we've paid for, but we're getting so much more back. And to officially launch this exciting partnership, the West Ham Football Club will host 10 very lucky pupils at their stadium on the 14th of November, and the lucky pupils will receive a free West Ham home kit, a full stadium tour, and a fixture dependent, I might add, the opportunity to meet one or two players there. So it's really exciting. We've also got Stubbers, which is another new partnership that starts in January. They're the largest outdoor activity adventure centre within East London, and they're also offering us lots of learning outside the classroom days for classes at a time, so they can get out in the fresh air and enjoy. Plus, there are opportunities, and we have to watch this space for parent and child access free of charge, which is absolutely fantastic. So throughout the academic year, Veggie Run wishes to build user and school engagement, and will be hosting many competitions, awarding prizes, again, as I say, from West Ham, Stubbers, Everyone Active, Change for Life, Squid and Quorn, for instance. Prizes do include signed memorabilia from West Ham, which we will have for Christmas time. We have West Ham Premiership tickets for next year. We have West Ham Stadium tours and orienteering around the Olympic Park, etc., and as well as all them wonderful prizes that will be from Stubbers and many more. So it's quite exciting. It's and we're getting now to the level where we need to bring the game to a much more respectable level, which is what we are working on now in terms of virtual reality farm for every child that can be helped out with their characters within their own farm to grow fruit and vegetables. But the uptake of school meals has absolutely rocketed, and that's fantastic. And I think if it helps just a few, then great. The overall result of this is that you can use this elsewhere within the country. Have your own prizes, etc. So it's quite exciting. It would be nice, in my own personal opinion, is that we all pull together and we have a set of characters actually that we're using every school throughout the whole of the UK, and we're all singing from the same hymn sheet. But yeah, but there you go. That's Veggie Run. I hope you enjoyed that, and thanks again for allowing me to come to present. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. That was great. We now very positive feedback here. We now have a few minutes for questions, so I'm going to take them in the order they came. And the first question is for Chandra. Does Food for Life operate in Scotland? This is from Rika Gonzalez. And Chandra, if you could let us know how Rika can know more about Food for Life in Scotland.
Yes, we do have a Food for Life over in Scotland. There's a few tweaks to how the curriculum elements are assessed due to the different curriculum there. But yes, we have it up and running, and we have a Food for Life office there, and all the details can be found on foodforlife.org.uk.
Thank you. The second, not so much a question, but a suggestion, and I think that's more a note for me than anything else. Lots of interest in the Flavour School, and I'm now aware, thank you very much, Valerie Meehan, that Warwickshire Food for Life is trialling Flavour School. So if it's okay, I'll get in touch to know more, and I'm very interested in doing a case study because I think it's a very interesting program. The next question is for Chloe from Lucy Whitman. How did parents respond to the tasting session in the playground? I know you typed in some things already in the attendee chat, but I think, Chloe, if you want to say anything more to this.
Oh, hi. Yeah, I just was saying the tasting session that we ran before was, it wasn't part of this, it was just another thing that we'd done. And it was in the school. We did some cookery demonstrations and some tastings, and it was cooking one type of soup, and then people were given a brown paper bag with some different vegetables and a recipe in to go and cook a soup, and then we followed it up with the phone call a week later to see if they had eaten it, made it, and enjoyed it. And it was like 95% of the people had really enjoyed it, and made it. So that worked really well. But we want to go back into the schools to do different types of vegetable taste testings.
Thank you. The next 4 questions are for Dennis. First, from Peter Sampson. Who funded the creation of the Veggie Run app and the rewards? I think you covered the rewards, maybe not so much the creation.
I did, and I can be quite. I can clarify all this. The service Havering Catering provided that. It was not subsidised. We didn't get any funding for it. It was an idea that I came up with. Had to find the money to justify it, and I just thought this would pay for itself, and it certainly has. So yes, we funded the game, as we continue to do so. In terms of the prizes, I bought initially 20 bikes to begin with, through us as well. I also bought 250,000 badges as well. So there's quite a bit of money there. And then we had our sponsorship from Quorn for some great prizes for schools in terms of huge playground stuff, the little bits that they always miss, but it's so big bags. These are £600 worth of, so they were fabulous. Then of course we had the swimming, which was donated by Everyone Active, and so forth, and so we had some really good support. Yeah. And by the way, there was a question there about who is that right? Who approached who? Well,
Yes, there's a question from
yeah,
Chloe. I was like,
I'm
right,
seeing it there, Chloe.
did you
Yeah,
approach
Chloe.
and Change for Life? Did they contribute
Yes, I had.
financially?
Yeah, I had a conversation with Quorn actually at last Lacer's at Lacer last. Not this year gone, but the year before, and I was explaining what we were doing. We'd been in contact with Change for Life. They came to see us, and they fully supported us, not only verbally but also in, and that was great. Marketing, obviously, we covered that cost. The Crunch Bunch characters I had designed, which we covered. And frankly, it's paid for itself, absolutely paid for itself. And I'm just really lucky that it's gone so well so far, and I hope it continues. And was very taken back to win the marketing award at Lacer. We were at Havering, and we were shortlisted for the Educatoring Awards for innovation. Unfortunately, didn't get that, but it was noted. We've been shortlisted for the up-and-coming Food Matters Live for innovation, and the LGC Awards, is it? Which the council, I believe, have put it forward. So I think, it's paying dividends if you're prepared to, look at the bigger picture, put some money in. And I looked at it as all a part of it's an investor, but it's just for the children. Yeah.
Two more questions for you, Dennis.
Right. Which ones are they?
From Lizzie Borrell. Does Veggie Run link to London Sport?
London Sports directly? No. I don't know whether it is London's. So that is something else. If that pull is massive, then that's something I'm going to be looking at. So London Sports, no, haven't done that, but we are looking at the FA. But obviously the big draw for us at the moment was locally, and that was what we were looking at initially before we took it any further, and that was Havering in terms of West Ham, because it's just West Ham crazy here. So, and that was and it's a huge coup for us. And for West Ham to be supporting us the way they have is amazing.
And the other question was from Megan Saunders. Has it helped increase the number of children eligible for free school meals to take up a school?
Yes, it has. Yeah, it has. It's the majority of the take up has primarily been in Key Stage 2, which is really fantastic. But we have seen a slight increase. We didn't have a low uptake. We don't have a low uptake, to be honest with you, anyway, down here. Realise we'd like to have everybody, but there are the odd ones, especially with severe allergies or anything like that, and free school meals. They just they'd rather not take that chance, which is a shame. But our free school meals are quite healthy down here, and our Stage 2 is actually it's growing now from strength to strength. Just got to keep that momentum going and keep coming up with some different ideas. So that'd be great.
Thank you, Dennis. That was great. We'll carry on for 2 more minutes because we have 2 more questions, and then we'll close the webinar. So the next question is for Chandra. It's from Karis Alder. How much is food growing part of Food for Life?
Hi. So the food growing element in Food for Life programme is incremental through bronze, silver and gold. So at the bronze level, we ask schools to, some pupils, for them to be growing and making compost. And then it's incremental through silver, is that then that growing is used either in cooking activities in school or used with further activities that are extracurricular. And then at gold, we want to see it that the whole school is involved in some growing activity throughout their time at school, and for the children to be involved in the planning for the growing year as well. So as schools move through the bronze, silver and gold, their opportunities to grow more, pardon the pun, also grows.
Thank you, Chandra. There seems that there is a sound issue, and some people didn't hear the first part of what you said. So if you want to type up something, we can circulate it with the presentations. Or
Sure,
you
Sophia,
want to hear a few bullet points.
Hi. Sorry,
Yeah.
Sophia, I'll send through the award framework criteria with the webinar presentation so people can see how growing activity is incremental through bronze, silver and gold.
Okay, excellent. The last question, and after that I'll close the webinar, is, well, it's for everyone, if everyone knows. It's from Nikki McKay. Does Change for Life run in Scotland? If someone knows, feel free to chip in. No, I don't think we know, Nikki, but we will find an answer for you. So thank you very much to our presenters, to our wonderful presenters. You were great. We will close this webinar now. We will leave it on for a few more minutes. If you want to leave your ideas, get in touch with someone that has contributed to the webinar. That's why we organize these webinars frequently. If you have any suggestions for webinars you would like us to organize in the future, leave them in the attendee chat as well. We're here to help your Veg Cities campaign. Thank you very much.